Please let me know if everybody can see my screen.
See it.
Yeah, thank you. So once again, happy Friday. And topic of discussion today is integration service environment. Quickly, if you don't know me, this is an intro slide that I have. I am a cloud solution architect in South Central region. And as usual, we're going to start with Azure service update. And today I'm going to talk about only one update, which is that our South Africa regions, Azure in South Africa, the first cloud provider to provide coverage in South Africa, is now live. And there are two regions, just that's our strategy. Whatever area we go in, we provide two regions in a country. That's to provide high availability and to obey the data sovereignty laws for that particular country. So basically, that's the two region. One is South Africa West and South Africa North. So just want to share it with you. So if you have customer or you have your organization in the Africa region, definitely that those regions are now available there. Okay, so quickly back to our topic of discussion, which is integration service environment. And so first of all, I'm sure if you have played with Azure, you have come across um, Logic Apps. Logic Apps is our workflow in the cloud. It allows you to build kind of orchestration or workflow. If you have an application that you can build in a flowchart, you can just take this application without writing a single line of code using Logic Apps. Very powerful. It helps with integration, um, and a number of customers who are using it, they are connecting it to on-prem services. And what it does is it provide a way where you can do an on-prem data gateway similar to Power BI data gateway that you can connect to on-prem services. But for a number of enterprise customers, this solution is not acceptable. They want more traditional solution. For example, they want to go back to their on-prem through site-to-site VPN and mostly for express route because they have set up already express route. So they want that traffic, the Logic App traffic that is talking back on-prem, come through that that connectivity that they have, the hybrid connectivity. Okay, so that's why they use, that's why they want to take advantage of express router site-to-site VPN. And that's where integration service environment comes into picture. What it does is, first and foremost, it allows you to take advantage of the VNet hybrid connectivity. So what you have now is you have a uh, Logic App environment that you can deploy into your virtual network. Once again, it follows the same VNet injection model as application service environment where you can deploy this PaaS app service into your VNet. Same model here, or a similar model where we take the whole runtime of integration, deploy it into your VNet. It provides you static outbound private IP addresses that you can use to whitelist. So the services that on-prem services, uh, you securely call those services. Provides you a dedicated compute with a with a large capacity like 75 million actions per month capacity with that you get. And then of course it has storage and it has a flat cost. So if your customers are using Logic Apps and they are in that range, like multi-million actions execution per month, they may want to take a look at integration service environment. So we're going to spend a few minutes on the kind of architecture. So this is kind of what we call logic app service. You have the logic app resource provider, which is just like a resource provider is for logic apps. Then you have the connection manager, which provides connectivity to different connectors, connector runtime, and then you have logic apps runtime. So what we are doing is we are taking all of it and deploying it into this into this virtual network. Okay, uh, and that's kind of ICE architecture look like at a higher level. So you have inside a VNet, you have deployed this integration service environment, and then it is connecting through service endpoints. So now it's connecting through a service endpoint, secured Azure services. Of course, over the internet, it may be connecting to things like DocuSign, Twilio, and all, and then it is connecting to on-prem through express route to your business application like SAP, SQL, FTP servers, and things like that. So that's what it provides. So base unit, and we will take a look at it. Um, Base unit provide you 75 million action execution a month, and of course VNet connectivity. And the thing is, you can add more units to it. Okay, so what we are going to do is we're going to see how you can create one of those ICE environment in Azure. So let's quickly. Any questions so far? So let's go in here. Okay, so I'm gonna do.
Navid,
Yes, sir.
this is Srini from Atlanta. Uh, just wanted to ask you a question regarding this. Can we use the same for all PaaS services like ADF, and we have the same scenario and issues like logic apps?
Yes, so all the scenario which is supported by logic apps is supported by integration service environment.
Great, thank you.
If that is your question, yeah. So there is no difference. It's not like, oh yeah, you cannot do it here. Yeah, there is no. Okay, so it's very simple. You have subscription, and you can pick up any resource group that you want, and the name NZ ISC3, and I'm gonna pick South Central US. By the way, these are the regions where it's available. So you can pick extra capacity. By default, you get 75 million action execution, but you can add extra capacity if you need and if you want. Okay, then we are gonna go into, we're gonna pick one of the VNets, and it asks for subnets. Okay, just keep in mind you will need 4 subnets, 4 empty subnets in your VNet. Okay, right now this is the case, and yes, some of the people have asked like why you need 4 subnets. That's how it's deploying, it's injecting itself in the VNet. And yes, 4 subnets seems like a big number. They are looking into in the future to see if they can make it into one subnet. By the way, the subnets that you need are /27, so 32 address spaces. Okay. Once you do that, once let's say I select a VNet which has, all the requirements are met, I did review and create, it will take 45 minutes to 2 hours to create this. And by the way, I have created two. One took like an hour, and one took an hour 15 minutes or 30 minutes, I think. So that's why just keep in mind it will take that much time to create. So, but once, go ahead. Any questions? If you don't mind, can you mute if you are not asking any questions? So let's go in. So I already have a integration service environment created. So let's go in here and go to integration. So I have an integration service environment already there. Let's take a look. So right out of the box, this is the picture that you're gonna see. Okay, how is the memory usage? How is the engine processing going on? How is the connector memory? All of that. Then you have your logic apps, how many logic apps you have, runs per day. Then you have integration accounts, API connections. This shows what API connections so far I have. Um, and do I have any custom connectors? If we click on the properties, it will show us what are the different, IP address ranges, that we have. These are, runtime outgoing IP addresses. This is access endpoint. So these are all of the IP ranges that you have that if you want to whitelist those.
Now with
Yes.
yeah, this is where I'm asking. So instead of the logic apps, can we add like app services or ADF or so? You're saying this is just
No,
specific
no,
to
no. This
logic
is
apps only?
specific to logic apps. Yes, this is
Okay,
for
that's
logic
perfect.
apps. Yes.
Okay.
If you want to run app service, then there is app service environment. So that does a similar thing, but that is app service environment. This is specifically for logic apps. Okay.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah. So you're welcome. And then you have this scale out. So this is basically you can increase the capacity. Um, you know, if I turn on auto scaling, it will do the scale out, but you can increase the number of units, things like that. Like if we want to go, okay, I want to add one more unit, it will, and just click save, it will do, add more unit. It will take a bit time, but it will add that particular unit. Okay, so now I'm going to discard it, and I'm going to go back to creating a new logic app. Okay, so let's go in here and let's click on the logic app. Okay, I say create logic app, and just pay attention to one thing. So I'm just going to use the existing resource group I have, and I'm going to name it NZISC app 3. Very creative name. Okay, how you put this application on your ISC. Basically, if you click on location, these are the normal logic app location where logic app is running. And this is your integration service environment. So now you have your own STEM. It's like your own STEM that is running in Azure. This is your personal environment. Think of it your kind of a mini data center that you have in Azure. So I just pick it up and I say create, and it's gonna create the um, um, you know logic app. So that will basically, create the logic app for you and put it on that particular um, uh, uh, ICE or integration service environment. So this is the logic app designer. So what we're going to do is, um, we're going to create this logic app. But before I go ahead, I just want to let you know that I have deployed this logic app into a VNet, which is connected through site-to-site VPN to my on-prem environment. So I have a lab set up at home, which is connected to Azure through site-to-site VPN through using my broadband router. Okay. And in that lab, I have a VM which is running first of all, this SQL server, and there's a small table which is some to-do list, and then there is this FTP server that I'm running. Both are running inside my, think of it, I mean, if you're an organization inside your data center, and which is connected to the cloud using site to site or express route. In this case, it's using site to site VPN. So I just want to show you this scenario before we move further. So I'm just going to create a logic app. I'm going to say when a HTTP request is received, I'm going to use this JSON payload, uh, and with that, I am going to add a new step. And this time, I'm going to show you all the connectors. And you will see there are a number of these connectors are using ISC, kind of a marked with ISC caption. So these are special, what you call connectors, which are designed for ISC, so they can go through service endpoints. Because since service endpoints, they connect a subnet to a Azure service, these ISCs can go through these endpoints. So basically, these connectors can go through these endpoints. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna first of all, I'm gonna pick up a FTP connector. Well, let's use the SQL Server connector first. So I'm going to use a SQL Server connector, and I'm going to say I'm going to insert a row. What it has done is it has picked up a connection, and what I'm going to do is I will show you this connection in a second. Basically, it is connecting to my on-prem um, database, which is running. And as you can see, this IP address here, this is 192.168. This is my on-prem, just to prove the point. So this is connecting to that. And I'm going to pick a table. I'm going to pick to do. And I'm going to add a parameter description. I'm going to come here, and for created date, I'm going to use an expression which is UTC now. Okay, and for description, I'm just going to use whatever data is coming in through that HTTP request. Next, I'm going to go in and I'm going to use the FTP. FTP, I'm going to create a file, and I'm gonna select a folder. So I'm gonna, and by the way, this is, once again, I have set up this FTP connector where I have, provide the information to connect to my on-prem environment. And since this ISC is running inside my VNet and connected to on-prem, even at design time, I'm able to connect to on-prem. I mean, I'm able to kind of see what is on-prem. So this is the logic file. This is a folder inside there. For the name of the file, I'm gonna use an expression. I'm gonna call it sorry, APL data. The second one, I'm gonna use the ID of the file that has been created, and that's it. Oops, sorry.
I think APL data should be in single quotes.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so we do this, and then we're gonna put it in the name of the file. For the content of the file, I'm just gonna use dynamic content, and I'm just gonna use this. Okay, with that, I'm gonna add one last step, which is HTTP response, and I'm gonna send 200 response with the response code body is the ID of the message. That's it. Very simple. I'm gonna save it, and this is gonna save the logic app, and I'm gonna start Fiddler. Okay, and by the way, it's gonna show me the URL. I'm gonna copy this URL, and once the Fiddler comes up, come on, I already have kind of a very similar uh, post that I have done. And in this case, I'm just gonna use change the URL, and let's see if it has actually changed it. Yes, and I am going to execute this request. Okay, so it got 200, it's got 12. So it means it has saved it into the database. Let's try it one more time with a different value. Execute this time again, and this time 13. So let's go back to our on-prem environment and see what is going on over there. Okay, so yes, let's execute this. As you can see, there is 12 and there is 13. So records have been inserted. And I'm now gonna go to my logic files. And there are two files which have been created. Let's open one of the file with Notepad, and this is the data. So I mean, to prove the point, you can, I mean, we have come all the way from the internet into our ISC, ran the logic app, do the integration. And I know this is very overly simplistic uh, or very simplistic integration. We are not using any kind of line of business system like SAP. But once you are on-prem, you can use systems like your mainframe. By the way, there's going to be mainframe connector available very soon, or SAP, or any databases that you have on-prem that you don't want to move it into the cloud. So basically, all of that is gonna be, you can access it from this integration, through this integration service environment, and kind of do the all that 360 integration where you have resources in Azure, resources on-prem, all of them together in a very secure environment, or where you can meet the security environment as well, which you cannot meet with on-prem data gateway. Any questions?
Hey, Naveed, can we assume that the integration services environment is a subset of app services environment?
Man, I asked this question, that is it same thing, and I did not get a straight answer. I think it is. So one thing I can say, it is the same model. So Azure have two models when we talk about VNet connectivity. One is injection, which is app service environment. Integration service environment are the examples of injection, where you are injecting this into a VNet. And then there is a model which is kind of more of a connectivity model, which is if you have a web app and you want to connect it to a VNet, you can use VNet connectivity, which is now available, which where you don't need an application gateway, which is currently in preview, that you can use.
Yeah, but my question is integration services environment is a subset of app services environment, because you can create logic apps in app services environment, which is already on-prem, right? Or in your VNet.
Yeah, but the thing is, you cannot run app service in integration service environment. And by the way, logic apps, you cannot run in on ASC, so they are different. Yeah, they follow the same model of VNet injection, but they are different. I mean, I won't call it a subset, because I think that's kind of, to me, it's a bit kind of a bit, muddying the water. I would say that both follow the same model, uh, but they are, I mean, this is for hosting logic apps, an app service environment for hosting web apps, API apps, or function apps.
Okay,
And
but
Yeah, go ahead.
Naveed, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So with app service environment, usually customers want an app service environment because they want full control of the network connectivity.
Hmm.
And that is a very powerful argument to
Yes,
use both an ACE and an ICE, an integration
yes,
service environment.
yes,
The
absolutely.
downside of the app service environment is that because of the dependencies that it has to the fabric, inspecting outbound traffic is very, very tricky. Are we going to face the same issues if our customers want to inspect outbound traffic, routing all this outbound traffic from the integration service environment through a firewall?
Yeah. So basically, I think still it's in preview, so more detail will come out. I can tell you about ASC that as they are enhancing it, they are moving the management plane on a separate network. So the only traffic that you will see in ASC is customer traffic. Remember, I mean, if you put firewalls in there, you have you may be blocking some of the management traffic. Management traffic will go on a different plane. So I'm pretty sure they will do similar things here, but we will know more detail as because this is hot off the press. It just came out in public preview like a week ago. So we don't know those details yet. And by
Fair
the
enough.
way, there is a detailed document, and you are right. There are a number of ports that you have to open in terms of NSG. So yes, you are right. I mean, putting a firewall, you have to be careful that you don't block a port that is doing management thingies on this, on this AS environment. Oh, by the way, I forgot one thing to mention. On that VNet where you're deploying this ICE, you have to give access to Azure Logic App Service Principal. Otherwise, this will not work. You will get a weird error and you will not understand what's going on. That's the reason. So so we still have 1 minute. So quickly, if we go into the virtual networks, these are my virtual network, and this is the network where I'm running ICE. This is okay, view role assignments, and you will see a role assignment from, you see Azure Logic App as network contributor. This is very important. If you don't, you have to have 4 free subnets with 32, and the second one you give this access. Otherwise, this will not work. Okay, so we right on time. Any questions? Okay, thank you very much. I will upload the video and the presentation, to our YouTube site. The
Navid,
presentation link will be in the description. Yeah, go ahead.
just last question. Wanted to see, can we modify the existing apps to add this ISE?
Existing app. I mean, you can not modify the existing apps because what happens is those apps are running in a multi-tenant environment. What you can do is move those apps or migrate those to to an IS environment.
Okay, thank you.
Just one more question. Obviously, it's in preview at the moment. Do we have any timelines as to when this will go GA?
That's a good question. I'm not sure about, but one thing I know that there is a build conference that's coming in a couple of months. So normally we do big announcements as those conferences like Build or Ignite, which is in September. So it will coincide with one of those. That's my best guess.
Okay, that's cool. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you very much, folks. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend and hope to see you next week.
Thank you, Navid. Thanks for sharing.